How we doing, everybody? Matt Moda here with OddsJam, here to give you my favorite bets, my best bets for Monday Night Football between the Bills and the Bengals. Incredible, incredible Monday Night Football game. It's rare that the best game of the week falls on Monday night. That is absolutely the case here between the Bills versus Bengals, two AFC elites. The Bengals, quite possibly the hottest team in football. They had a slow start to the year starting 0-2, and then everybody remembers them getting smoked on Halloween by the Browns. But since then, they have not lost. They're like on a 6 or 7 game win streak, something like that, with a really tough schedule. Really tough schedule in that stretch as well. They beat the Chiefs in that stretch. They beat the Titans when the Titans were on their 5-game winning streak themselves. So they basically were the ones that started the Titans' cold streak when Ryan Tannehill was still playing. They beat the Bucks, which doesn't look as impressive as it once did. They beat the Ravens, not the Ravens. They beat the Patriots, which isn't as impressive as it once was. They beat their division rival Browns, who Joe Burrow had never beaten. And then the Bills, top to bottom, probably have the best roster in football. Now, the injury bug has really kind of put a damper on how good their defense was to begin the year. A couple key losses there. But still, top to bottom, Bills probably have the best roster in football. Going to be an incredible game. Legitimate chance that the winner of this game is the 1 seed in the entire AFC playoffs. So, I'm going to use the OddsJam positive EV page, as well as the OddsJam screen, which is just loading, to find my plays for this game. Looking at some player props, looking at some regular lines as well. So for the regular lines, and this was pulled from the positive EV page, Bills point spread. Bills -3.5 against the Bengals. So we're actually selling some points here. We're getting the Bills above a field goal, but all the way at +148 odds. So yes, it's a little bit riskier, but the payout makes it worth it at +148 odds at Circa Sportsbook. OddsJam, the perfect line, calculates this to be at about +147. These numbers are important. They're pulled from the sharpest sportsbooks in the world, so these can be viewed as the true line of what a market should truly be priced at. So the fact that we're getting more favorable odds, higher payout than what the OddsJam perfect line has, is profitability. Circa giving it to us at +148. And then what you want to do, compare the bet to the rest of the sportsbooks, right? Is this +148 truly an outlier to the rest of the sportsbooks? In this case, it is. It's a really good bet. Pinnacle, which is the sharpest sportsbook in the world, has this at +141. And then look at every other sportsbook: +125, +128, +130, +136, +125, +123. You can go down the board. No other sportsbook has this in the +140s except for Pinnacle, and then Circa 7 cents higher at +148. So this is a really good bet. Obviously, it's a little bit riskier because we're getting the Bills to win by over a field goal, and that's a key number. But we're getting pretty good odds on this one, pretty high payout, which makes it worth it. So this is going to be my first bet for this video: Bills -3.5 +148. Next up, using the OddsJam screen, which pulls up lines from every single sportsbook, and you can literally just identify value across the sportsbooks by using the OddsJam screen. And there's a couple, and you also choose a market. So in this case, the best value I found was on receiving yards. Really didn't find any value on any of the quarterbacks passing or any of the players rushing yards, but receiving, I was able to find some value. And all you want to do when you're using the screen is compare or just look for outliers across the sports books, right? So you see the best odds, and you can just compare across the board. So right off the bat, the play that I really liked here was T. Higgins over 65.5 receiving yards. So T. Higgins is majority of sports books is offered at like 67, 68. We see all the way up. No, 68 is the highest. No, we see up to 70, all the way up to 70. Well, PointsBet is giving it to us at 65.5. Now we're paying a little bit of juice for that at -120 odds, but that's still a really good play. Pinnacle, the sharpest sportsbook in the world, has it 3 yards higher at 68.5, and they favor it going over. So not only is it priced higher, it's the favorite outcome, right? They have the overpriced at -117, the under at -113. They're favoring it going over. And then DraftKings has it at 68.5 as well, favoring it going over. So this 65.5 is 2 to 3 yards lower than where every other sportsbook has it priced, and the sharper sportsbooks that has it priced higher also favors it going over. So this is a really, really good play. T. Higgins over 65.5 receiving yards. Another really good one, and this player is obviously this one's on the Bills. Gabe Davis, for the same logic, over 40.5 receiving yards. So sportsbooks price his receiving yardage prop at 42 all the way up to 44, and then we see some at 45.5, and we're getting it all the way down at 40. So it's a lower number and an even bigger gap between the points bet line and the OddsJam line at 44.5. Now, OddsJam slightly favors it, and this is pulled from Pinnacle, by the way, slightly favors it going under at 116, the over at minus 114. But that's it's basically calling it a 50-50 outcome, and we're still getting it 4 yards lower at 40.5. And the lower the yardage goes, obviously the gap between the numbers becomes more meaningful, right? Going from 300 to 305 isn't nearly as valuable as going from 40 to 45.5. This 4-yard gap between the points bet line and the Pinnacle line at 44.5 is like a 10%, if not more, 10 to 20%, depending on how you want to assign probabilities, 10 to 20% chance that it lands between the 40 and the 44.5. And it's also a 10 to 20% difference between the Pinnacle line. So this is the kind of stuff, the kind of strategies that you want to be doing, you want to be looking out for when you are using the OddsJam screen. You want to identify sportsbooks that have mispriced odds and then take advantage of those. So those are definitely the two best values that I saw. Gabe Davis and T. Higgins, both going over their receiving yardage prop. And then we also have, can't forget, Bills minus 3.5. And that's going to be it. So 3 bets for you guys to lock in for Monday Night Football. If you're tailing, comment, let me know. But that's it. So appreciate everybody watching, and have a good one.